Hey, welcome to the greenhouse, Cottonwood Valley followers. This is the first time you're really seeing the greenhouse. I guess maybe in video 1 we were in it prepping the soil a little bit, but it is Friday evening, April 4th, and this is going to be a vlog from kind of the weekend here. First full weekend in April, and time to get the greenhouse ready. The plants have been in a grow rack down in my basement, getting the seedlings started, so over the next day or two we're gonna plant some more and we're gonna move those seedlings out here and get them started growing. So let's take a look. Quick overview on this greenhouse. This is a 12-foot wide greenhouse built with the hoop bender from Bootstrap Farmer, the 12-foot wide kit, using 1 3/8 inch chain link top rail. I built this back in the snow in January. Finally got everything the way I wanted and getting settled in. Got the pallets in here this week, but this is a 12-foot wide by 20-foot long, and I've built plywood end walls on it, lined with or sheeted with 1/2 inch thick plywood to give it a real structural design here. I just wanted something a little bit more substantial with it, so that was kind of my January, February project, getting it to this point. But in here, it is single poly plastic, 8mm plastic on it, greenhouse plastic. Today, it's been a cloudy day, it's been rainy, we've got about 1/4 inch of rain today, so it didn't really warm up that much in here. It blew my mind the first sunny day I was in here with the plastic, actually the day we were putting plastic on, just how warm it got with the solar radiation coming through it. So we have a thermostat controlled fan up here. This kicks on based on whatever temperature I set right here on the thermostat for it. Not the most accurate thermostat, but gets the job done. Then I just have a standard oscillating fan over here, just keeping air circulating throughout the day, throughout the night. Especially important once the plants get here, just to keep air moving on them. And I hung a box fan. When I started playing with the heaters, I found out how important it was to keep the warm air circulating, pulling it down from the ceiling. So I need to get the extension cord run to the back outlet with that. And really my goal for Friday evening here tonight is to get it ready, so come tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, I can start bringing trays out, I can start planting more plants out here, and really getting it in full production. It is a cold day today, like I said. Right now it's like 42 degrees outside. It is 57 in here without any extra heating. This is just from the UV coming through, from the sunshine, what little we have coming through the overcast skies. So not that uncomfortable out here, but I am gonna get the heater fired up. This is a Mr. Heater. It's got 3 settings, 6,000, 12,000, and 18,000 BTUs running off a 20-pound propane tank. And then I actually have another blue flame heater here that I was trying out. This is from our cabin out at the farm, so I didn't have to buy it, but I've got it mounted on the wall. This is a 10,000 BTU heater that'll be pumped into another 20-pound bottle in case I need it. It's a blue flame, so it heats the air, versus this other cabinet style heater is a radiant that is the orange infrared style. I think it does a better job in here personally, but I'm gonna fire it up out here tonight. It's supposed to get down in the low 40s, maybe in the high 30s, and just see what it does, so that way I keep track of what's going on. And when I say, how do I keep track of what's going on temperature-wise? Well, I have this one thermometer right here. It's a Govee. It tells me the temperature. It tells me the max temperature it's ever been. It got up to 130 in here when it's in direct sun at some point. And the humidity percentage. That's great. That's a Bluetooth one, so when I'm out here it syncs with my phone. But more importantly, I've got another Govee model right up here that hangs, and that one just happens to be Wi-Fi. So it's tied into my home Wi-Fi. I can pull up the app on my phone. It gives me a notification if it drops below 50 degrees in here, and I think it sends me another notification if it's over 95 out here. That way I can keep track of what's going on. Once I have plants in here, I'm gonna try to keep everything over 50 degrees, and say something did happen with the heater, one of the propane tanks ran out or something, that gives me a few degrees of buffer to get something started out here, get the other heater going before really any crazy damage happens to the seedlings. Okay, now getting started. A few things I need to get done. I got to carry some supplies in, hook up the propane tanks, get the propane tanks weighed, so I kind of have an idea how much propane I'm using per night. That's just me nerding out a little bit because I want to know how many dollars I'm spending to heat it in here and how to plan accordingly. So I have a hanging scale. I'll show you how I do that to get the weight of them here in a little bit. But went out today and got some more seed starting supplies, 2 more bales of peat moss just to have on hand when I get planting tomorrow to make our seed starting mix. That and the propane tanks. So let me go get those and we'll get started. Okay, got the supplies carried in here. I got the black gold peat moss from Tractor Supply this time around, 2.2 cubic foot, and it is really pressed in there. I've done 12 trays, and I still have quite a bit left in the bottom of this swimming pool here from my first 2.2 cubic foot bale. So I should have plenty for everything I'm starting this year now with all the supplies, the perlite, vermiculite back there in the bags as well. But I also got the propane tanks carried in here. I have 2 tanks. These are 20-pound tanks. Propane, there's a lot of good resources out there online and on YouTube. Click around, find them. I'm not an expert on this at all. Big thing for me that I'm doing though is I have a fish scale to hang them and weigh them, because when you look on these tanks you can find like a tear weight like 18 pounds. This one is 17 pounds pressed in it. That one's a lot harder to read, but I like to weigh. I like to know how many are in it to get started with. Because when you take them in to get them refilled, I don't trade my tanks in really that often. I always go to one of our dealers that can just refill them for me by the pound or by the gallon. And I like to know how much I'm using. So I'm gonna weigh each of them, see what we're starting with before I get them installed for tonight. Got my handy dandy little digital scale here. So gonna come over here to the first one. Empty weight should be 17 pounds on this one. Let's get it picked up. And it is 34 pounds. So what is that, about 17 pounds we have in it? But I'm gonna remember the Blue Rhino tank has 34 pounds in it. So the total weight of them, 34 pounds, 35 pounds, which makes them both about even because the tear weight stamped on them, which is not super accurate with paint and everything on it, has them about a pound apart. So that gives me a ballpark on where we're starting, and I'll weigh them at the end of the day tomorrow, but I'm gonna get them installed on the heaters and go from there. Just that easy. The hoses tuck in here. I always use the valve on the tank at the beginning and the end of every day. I don't trust the ones here on top for that, but it's that simple. You know, this is a dirt floor in here, so I'm actually gonna go get a spare pallet I have to set that on it. I don't want it to settle, anything like that with the rain we've been getting, if any water comes under the floor, and just keep it up, keep it stable on a nice solid surface. So gonna get a pallet in here and we'll get it ready to go. There we go, just got it up off the floor. That's a nice solid surface for it. The nice thing about the greenhouse is I can move it around, I can keep it here in the middle, and I just have about 10 or 12 trays that'll be out here tomorrow, so all the pallets here on the south side won't be full. So we'll get started with it there and see what we think, and we can always move it around and adjust it where we need it to be. I really just want to know on what settings can I run this on, that if I set it like tonight on 6,000 BTUs, that's supposed to be like 68 hours of runtime on one 20-pound tank of propane. I just want to know what it's going to do and see what it does. Tomorrow morning, right about daylight, 7 a.m., they're forecasting about 34, 35 degrees outside. So we'll see what it keeps it at in here. Like I said, the thermometers log it, but we'll try that here in a little bit. But right now it's about 6 o'clock and it's still 57 degrees in here. I was just looking up at the thermostat. I want to get the fan hooked up here, but I'm not going to start these until about dark tonight. No point in wasting too much extra propane to just test them with, and it's really pretty comfortable in here right now. So gonna get started on that. I'm gonna get the fan plugged in, get that ready, and then right about dark I'll come out and I'll show you the process of lighting it up. Okay, now that we know it's about 53 degrees, 54 degrees in here, time to get the heater started. Turn on the tank back here, just like your grill, standard grill tank. Super easy. Setting off, pilot, low, medium, and high. So 6,000 BTUs, 12,000, and 18,000 BTUs. So I'm gonna turn on the pilot light. I don't know if we'll be able to see it in there or not. Oh, there it clicks on. And there I'm just gonna turn it on low. We'll give it just a minute for it to heat up there so you can see the elements glowing. And like I said, this is one of the radiant ones that heats up kind of infrared. It glows orange. You can see the one middle element sliding up. So that's how this is a low, medium, and high. On low, it's just the center one lit up, burning, and then it keeps turning modules on as you go through the 3 settings. So a couple things I did off camera was I got the power ran up here to the fan. So I'm actually gonna turn it on medium. And we all know that heat rises, so it's gonna come out of the heater and go up towards the top. That's gonna help bring it around and push it down lower, but it's hard to talk over the fans as they're going. The other thing I'm gonna do is, this thermometer's here on the wall. Well, I don't really care about the temperature on the wall back there that much. So what I'm gonna do is set it up here, right here on this bag of peat moss, because right here it's already saying 55 degrees. But that's gonna give me a reading of where the plants will be on the bench overnight. And starting tomorrow, the plants will be in here. So I wanna know what the temperature is down here in front of the heater, more than I do up on the wall. And I've got the one reporting back to me that's hanging up there on the ceiling. So that's gonna be it for tonight. We're gonna let the heater run all evening, all night out here. I'll check back in the morning. In the morning, we'll start carrying flats up here, getting them arranged, bringing them up from the basement, and probably start planting some more vegetables. I think we're gonna have some broccoli, some eggplant, and tomatoes for sure getting planted tomorrow. So thanks for following along. The next part will lead us into Saturday morning. Okay, it's now Saturday morning. Yesterday you saw me getting the greenhouse ready. We'll go out and check on that, see what the heat did. I can promise you I checked on the app about 400 times last night, watching the temperatures. I'll explain that in a minute. But today is moving day. Time to get all the baby peppers out there later this afternoon. We'll get them in the greenhouse and moved in. There we've got a few marigolds. These are some of the yellow peppers, the early sensation yellow bells, and then more of the King Arthur peppers right down here. So gonna head outside. I'll talk to you about what went on in the greenhouse with the heater last night and kind of what my plans are today for Saturday. Okay, well, we're out here in the greenhouse. It is actually about noon right now with it. But you can see we got some dew on the windows. Well, that's because it's 62 degrees in here right now. The sun's trying to burn through just a little bit right now, just a tiny bit. It's supposed to be cold all day. It's 41 degrees out right now, but the heater still kicking out warm air on low. So that's 6,000 BTUs. And let's check our temperature gauge. 62 degrees and 66% humidity in here. Humidity's higher than I want, but propane naturally has humidity. It's 90% humidity outside. But today, it's time to get it ready for the plants in here. Got the fans going, all of that good stuff. So I think first up is, before I move plants out here, they're cozy at 75 degrees down in the basement in that grow rack. I want to get a seed starting station set up here. I got some other pallets the other day. I've got some 2x4s. So I'm gonna build a seed starting table in here so I can seed everything right here, move them right over to the racks here on the south side to get the sunlight, and start with that for today. That quick here at my parents' house. Just came over here real quick to cut the studs down to make the legs for the pallet table that we'll use for seating. So gonna load up, get back to the greenhouse and see where we're at there. Okay, just got back from my parents' house cutting the lumber, but as you see, the sun is out, so it's time to check on the greenhouse and probably turn off the propane heat and see where we're at now. It's so nice to have the sun shining now. Haven't seen it in a couple days, but oof, it is warm in here. Here in the sun, it's saying 87 degrees, if we can see that. Not very well. On the back wall, that's a little more out of the shade right now, right at 80 degrees, so it is time to shut the artificial heat off. Close the tank down on that. And I think since the sun's out, it is time to bring some plants out here, let them see sun for the first time, and see how they like it, and get them comfortable in here, so that way tonight we can turn the heat back on and get them acclimated out here. First tray of mammoth jalapenos coming out from the basement. Well, after officially way too many trips up and down the stairs into my basement, we got all the flats out here that were started down there. ready to come out. We have 2 flats of Mammoth jalapenos, 6 flats of King Arthur bell peppers. These ones were planted on March 20th. These ones on March 15th. You can see the difference in them. And then just 1 little tray of marigolds I planted. I had 1 rack of space left downstairs, so I just planted some marigolds one day. We'll see what happens with them, but the greenhouse is finally in use. You know, I got it finished back in February. It feels good here on April 5th to have plants in it. So just gonna watch them very carefully today because it's warming up in here. I moved the thermometer out of the sun back on the wall for now, and it's 80 degrees in here. So we'll watch. I don't want anything to dry out, and it's just a big learning curve for myself. Okay, a couple hours later here, plants are in the greenhouse, but I found this really nice pallet getting thrown away, and I need a table to seed things on. So I went and I cut earlier the 2x4s over at my parents' place. Gonna throw some simple legs on it, clean up the pallet a little bit, maybe sand it a touch, maybe paint it or seal it. We'll see where we're at, but I just want a nice table to put the trays on, to put the seeds in them without having to go up and down from downstairs the house, and things that come along with planting like loose dirt and peat moss throughout the house probably needs to come to an end pretty quick. So especially now it's nicer weather, so that's what I'm gonna work on now. Okay, help me measure this. We're gonna measure that again down there. Clip that on the wood for me. Clip it on. Okay. Okay, let's move it over a little. Okay. Help me hold it right on the inside. Hold it right there. Okay, overall pretty impressed with the table build. Very simple. But I think it'll make a great planting table. Just got to get it in the greenhouse. Thank you to Kennedy for her help coming out and helping me get it screwed all together. Really only took 1 pallet, and I'm basically maybe 2.5 8-foot long 2x4s to build the legs, and it's sturdy. It's not going anywhere. So I will say it's just after 5 p.m. and it's really starting to cool off now. It's about 43 degrees outside. So I'm gonna go inside, get the greenhouse heater fired up for tonight. It's supposed to get down to about 31, 32. So probably gonna turn it on, maybe even up to medium or high tonight now that I have plants in there. So gonna get that started. Want to keep the plants warm. I have a couple thermometers showing soil temp of about 60 degrees in each of them. Actually, this one's a little bit less. So just want to keep them warm, especially their first night in here. It's still gonna get down to about 50 degrees in here, but just keep them going, keep them happy, and hope they keep adapting. So that's probably it for tonight. Tomorrow we're gonna move that table in here, get some things started, hopefully plant maybe another 8 to 12 trays of eggplant, lunchbox peppers, 4 different varieties of tomatoes, and some broccoli. So still got to get that done this weekend and start it out. So before long, all of these pallets will be full, and I'll probably be putting some on the north side here and one down here on the end. But I think we're gonna call it a day for today. So thanks for following along. Next part of the video will take us into Sunday. Well, happy Sunday afternoon. Last night it got down to about 34 degrees outside, but I'll say the heater kept it warm all night in here. I think the coldest it got 51, 52 degrees. I did come out about midnight and I turned it up to the medium setting, And when I came out here this morning about 8:30, it was 60 some degrees in here. The low setting, I've learned, will keep it at about 10 degrees higher than it is outside. So if it's a 40-degree night, low, we'll keep it at 50 degrees. So that's what I've learned so far. But today is going to be a busy afternoon. We have about 12 trays worth of seeds to get planted. We have 4 varieties of tomatoes to get started. We have some more lunchbox peppers to get started, some broccoli, and just a few odds and ends, some eggplants. So gonna get that started and see how it goes out here today. Okay, first and most important, I like to get started with making a label for everything I'm gonna plant. So I'm planting out 12 trays today, so I'm gonna make 12 labels. Just get them started there, and it is April 6th. The labels made for everything, one for each of the trays. So gonna get them applied to the tray. Then I'm gonna fill the tray with the seed starting mix we make here. I'll probably have to make more mix throughout the day, but gonna try to just get these 12 of them potted up real quick so we can get them out on the trays. Okay, later here in the afternoon, I've got all 9 of the trays filled for you. Time to start planting and putting some seeds in the cells and getting them covered up. Okay, real quick, we're gonna start with the 2 trays of eggplant. This is the Epic eggplant variety from Rupp Seeds. This is the Epic F1, 96% germination rate. So, gonna get that started here, gonna dibble it and get going. Last tray here, I think this is tray number 9 for today. Just getting the final, these are lunchbox pepper seeds into place. There we go. So that's pretty much a wrap on the weekend. Tonight, I'm gonna carry these ones down in the basement, put them back in the light box, the grow box down there. It's pretty much empty for the most part right now, but we have a freeze warning, so we'll have the heaters going again in here, trying to keep things semi-warm. The next 2 nights, then we should be through using the heaters in here at night, and that'll be nice to quit burning that propane. But thanks for following along. Make sure you like and subscribe to us on social media. Thanks.